Recording. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the School Building Committee for Thursday, February 8, 2024. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from January 25. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Thank you, Steve. A second. Second from Chris. Any corrections? Then all in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate. Any abstentions? Mary is going to abstain. Okay, thank you. That brings us then to the opportunity for public input. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the committee? Okay, seeing none. The committee did receive an email from Eric Reynolds, which has been distributed to the committee. That email will be appended to the minutes from this meeting. Then that brings us to our architect and contractor and OPM update. So I don't know, Adam or Scott?
Yeah, I'll walk through the topics that we had highlighted in the packet. So just to start off with some good news at very long last, the wall cap for the stone seating wall has been installed. So there's no longer just this jagged bits of masonry and mortar and stone and things. So that was completed, I believe, either early this week or late last week. That brings that saga to a conclusion.
Yeah, I do have one concern. I don't know who this gets addressed to, but I think we need to watch out for that corner on the left, which doesn't appear to be flush. I haven't been there myself. They'll keep going further left. There, that corner, it looks like it sticks out about 2.5, 3 inches from the flush, otherwise flush, whatever that's called, Jeff, side of the steps. So whether or not that's an issue, I don't know, but it concerned me when I saw the picture.
Okay, we can keep an eye on it as we go through the sites, and if there's an issue, that it could be trimmed or cut or something to resolve the sharp corner. Besides the stone cap, the lightning protection, the purchase order component has been resolved with finance, so that's being scheduled. I believe it's looking towards the end of February is when the vendor last gave us an update on when they want to come out to do the lightning protection work at the pump house. For heat trace, we'll come up to this in the procurement section, but there's a reduced quote from ABS as compared to Newfield's quote to do the heat trace programming. So we'll come back to that as part of the next agenda item. The digger probe work at the fire tank, the PO for that just got issued, so that is also being scheduled for completion. And then the last part that I'll speak to is for the acoustic panels. Just earlier today, I got reached back from the targeted vendor on pricing, and they said that they do offer reduced pricing for the type of quantities that we're looking at. So I'll be connecting with them again to work through some reduced pricing for the felt panels for the classrooms and get that moving. Anything on those before I turn it to Scott for just a quick commissioning update?
Any questions from anyone? I don't see any here.
Congratulations on your new family.
Thank you. He's doing well. Raising hell for my wife and I, but that's his job. So as long as he's eating well but healthy, that's all we can ask for.
Okay, I don't see any questions here. So then Scott.
Yeah, so just a brief update on the commissioning. Kate's been regularly communicating with the team. We are continuing to make progress. We're not quite there yet. As of last Friday in the morning, we're still experiencing some cold temperature issues earlier in the day in the first grade wing. They've experienced points in the day where late morning rooms start heating up and it hits a set point that triggers the cooling to come on, and it cools the room quite rapidly. So that's being coordinated with the commissioning agent, with Bill and Alan. Eric Reynolds has been actively working with the commissioning team, with ABS, with Craig from Kohler Ronan to try and resolve these things. And again, I'll just say that, the electronic controls, sensors and all for these buildings are quite complicated. So they're still working through some of these minor issues. I think, again, they're getting closer to getting, just regulated heat. But they still are experiencing some issues. But when those have occurred, Kate's been communicating with us, and the team has been, actively getting out there to look at rectifying the specifics associated with each occurrence.
Okay, any questions? Yes, question, Steve.
Yeah, I guess for Scott, we've been almost a full year in the building. Is this still common and typical to be experiencing set point adjustments and these kind of issues?
Every building's unique. I would be hoping by now that we would have that resolved. A lot of times, there are minor tweaks that happen even once the commissioning process is done as far as owner preference. When you start out with a building that has 4 different orientations, specifically more north-south orientation, if you set them all to the same set point as far as heating and cooling, you can certainly get differences in comfort throughout the building. So, I think those are being, reviewed and looked at. I will say that, I would expect, hopefully within the next month, that the remainder of these issues get fully resolved.
Thank you.
Chris has a question.
Kate, go ahead, Kate.
Let me just add to Scott's point and to answer your question. Specifically, the issues with room 19, I think, are an issue with the system. We've been managing the room 19 issue off and on all year, and the teacher is clear when it's calling for cold air and it doesn't need to be there. And that's one that the team is looking at. The other new issues, I think, are just adjusting to the fact that the teachers haven't taught in the building at this time of year. So kindergarten classrooms, getting sun on those large windows with no leaves on the trees are heating up those rooms. We anticipate that adjustment. We weren't here last year to correct those. So we have 2 different processes that are requiring additional commissioning time. I guess I just want to, that we anticipate K is learning and the lower levels learning what their rooms will do with sun and no leaves.
Yeah, and then specifically the issue that the kindergarten is experiencing is, with that solar gain, they'll go up above the 72, 73 degree set point. That'll trigger cooling. The cooling comes on, but it rapidly cools the room. So you'll go from 73, 74 degrees down to 69 degrees very quickly. I guess the good news is that the system certainly has the capacity to cool the room, but they're looking at the set point of, if it does come on, the room starts heating up, maybe we don't need to cool the room all the way down to 69. Maybe at this time of the year, we drop it down to to 70, 71. So those are some of those issues. And yes, the team is still actively looking at the first grade room 19, trying to resolve those overcooling issues.
Hey, I'm just wondering, do you have a kind of a system? Are the teachers told, please let me know if you've got an issue with temperature, or is it just when you hear complaints? How does this work?
We had a running spreadsheet in the beginning of the, when this all started. And now if a room is not a temperature that teachers like, I get notified pretty quickly. And then I
So
quickly.
it's I don't mean to belittle it, but it's a casual process. You're not doing anything like officially or
So there
yeah.
was an official process. We're now down to so few rooms that it's a check-in on a regular basis.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
and we have done things like take videos of the fan so we hear the sound. We're trying to be as clear in how much we can document. And then I'm quickly turning it around to the Colliers team.
Right. And at this point, the Bill and Alan and ABS, the engineer can all log on to the system in not just the specific room, but take a look at the zones, the trend data. There's temperature sensors in all those spaces. So they've been recording the anomalies when those get reported as soon as they get reported. So, we don't need anybody to run around with a thermometer. The information's there and they're using that information to diagnose and make the corrections.
Okay, any other questions online? Okay, I don't see anything else. Other questions that are not related to commissioning or Anything? Okay. I guess then we can move on to procurement. Oh,
So
no. Jeff, you don't have anything to say, right?
No, I'm
Or-
good, thanks.
Or Steve, sorry, I should have moved on with that. Steve, you have anything you want to bring up? Okay, well, hearing none, then I guess we'll move on. So procurement?
procurement is just the one item up for consideration. That is what I mentioned before, the electrical work and programming work associated with the heat trace. So currently it's just in an on state and uses a lot of energy. So that was an item that was targeted by Nicola Ronan or the commissioning agent, or might have been ABS, I'm not sure, but the scope of which is to reduce it to a time period between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. For $4,386.30. And the ROI on this, I believe it was like a 2-year payback period or something, just the amount of electrical costs saved from not having it on all the time. If there's, there typically isn't grease going down the drain at 10 o'clock at night, so you don't need the heat trace going at that point in time to help address that.
Yeah,
Right.
and actually this was reduced, sort of the initial thought last month when I reported this potential opportunity to the committee was, in the low fives. Kohler Ronan met with ABS, they put their heads together, they came up with a more cost-effective solution to getting the control. So, I applaud them for that. So, yeah, we are absolutely recommending that this be implemented because as we talked about last time, and as Adam just pointed out, we're looking at an approximate 2-year payback. So I think this makes a lot of sense.
Okay, any questions? You see none, is there a motion?
Actually, I do have a
Go
question.
ahead.
Are we gonna be able to actually turn this thing on if we want to? Or does it only allow itself to go on from 9 a.m. to 3 a.m.? And does it do that all year round? How much control are we gonna have over it?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, no, my understanding is it will have the potential to change those times. So you will have control. The initial thought is that it will be set from
I gotcha. Do
9
we need to
3,
call
but
in a
it's not
technician to do this,
static.
Scott? Do we need to
Pardon?
call in a technician or can we actually do this?
I believe it's going to be controlled through the ABS system. So that should be something that Alan and Bill would be able to control
Thank you.
once that is implemented. It's all controlled through the same automated building system, and ABS is the contractor, your controls contractor, who is implementing this upgrade.
Okay, I see Rich, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'm in the last line of the scope of work description. Is that word supposed to be existing?
Yes, I think it's just a typo.
Yes.
Existing. Okay, thank you.
Yes. It's engineer talk. Okay, is there a motion then to approve the procurement from ABS for the heat trace?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to the quote dated January 26th, 2024 from ABS in the amount of $4,386.30 for charges to the building management system for heat trace scheduling.
I'll
Okay,
second it.
okay, we have a motion, second. Rich, you had your hand up. I'm sorry, I didn't notice before. Go ahead.
I'm seconding.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Mary and Rich. Thank you. Then all in favor of approving the motion, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, so that's unanimous. In that case, that brings us to the last item on our agenda, which is adjournment. Is there a motion?
I'll second
Okay,
it.
Tony and Chris, thank you. All in favor? And we'll see you all next time then. Thank you.
So